Righty, let's see. We'll do a quick check-in of who's here. First person on my screen is Brian Bender. Sir, if you can unmute, who are you and who are you representing today?
Brian Bender, Civil and Environmental Consultants. We were the engineers on the job.
Okay. All right, and then I have Kathleen Meehan here from the Planning Department.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, as well as Ms. A. House.
Morning.
Morning. And then I have a Mary McConnell.
Yep, Mary McConnell. I'm the engineer of record.
Okay. And then I have a Mark Quinn. If you are there, sir, if you could unmute and have your camera on.
I apologize. 1 second, I'll get the camera on. This is Mark Quinn. I'm representing U-Haul Company today. I'm the Mark County president for Cincinnati,
Okay.
Ohio.
Thank you. All right, let me do a brief introduction and we can go ahead and get started. This is this June 25th, 2025 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is Ashton Tucker and I will be serving as your zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati. I'll be presiding over this hearing. The case before us today is ZHUV250005. This is regarding the property at 912 Windsor Street. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any other parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. The hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any other party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant or the applicant's agents will first present the applicant's case. The public will have an opportunity to respond and provide any information and testimony that they would like to give. Then the planning department will have an opportunity to give testimony about the staff report regarding the application and any other information they think is necessary for me to know in this hearing. If any party testifies or offers argument in opposition, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and offer any argument of their own against that opposition. At the end of this, everybody will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. The applicant will have the last opportunity, the final word, so to speak. After all presentations have been made, I'll close this hearing out and my written decision can be expected within 2 to 3 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties, I will try to troubleshoot those to the best of my ability. If I am unable to do so, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. If you intend to testify this morning, I need your camera on as well as you to be unmuted. That way I can swear you all in. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. We'll start with Mr. Bender. Mr. Bender, can you tell me a little bit about this project and what the application is for?
Yeah, I'm going to go and defer to Mary McConnell, was the original engineer of record. She has since left CEC right after this was pulled in. So I'm going to go ahead and defer to her and let her kind of explain a little bit about the project.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brian. So the project is currently a residential lot that had, I guess, from aerial photography, you can see there used to be a house on the property and it has been demolished for maybe 30 years. And so it's just been vacant. There's a little bit of a retaining wall around the north and west side, and some abandoned utilities from where where the house used to be connected, and some old driveway concrete and things like that. And the proposed site is to take down that wall, cap off some of those utilities, lower the grade to a safer, more accessible level, and connect it to the pavement that's around it already on the U-Haul site to the north, allowing the people who park, not the U-Haul vehicles, but the people who park their own personal vehicles to park there instead of on instead of in the existing lot or on the street in random areas. So just a safer place to park when they walk in to rent their U-Haul or do their storage business. And then underneath I met with all the different agencies in the city, and they all gave me their like fire department and stormwater and MSD were kind of the biggest ones. And they recommended that we put stormwater detention in. So there's a stormwater detention facility underneath that accounts for stormwater quality and quantity. And then the overflow volume of that outlets onto Gilbert Avenue to the west, tapping in. And MSD and SMU both agreed that that was like exactly what they wanted to see on the site. On the east side, there is a residential property with a tree line and a little bit of a great difference because of the, lowering the parking lot. So there's a low under 3 foot knee wall on the east side. And we actually took advantage of the fact that that had to go up to offer the neighbors, they have a privacy fence, they're leaving that intact, leaving the tree line intact, and planning some landscaping. So meeting with urban forestry, and the landscaping, recommended a hedge because there's already a fence there. We just are showing a hedge along that wall. And then the driveway egress is to the south. It would be a standard residential width driveway. So it's not like a big commercial drive because it's personal vehicles. Didn't need to be wider. So it's just a regular driveway. And then for city improvements outside of the parking lot area, there's a little bit of a lawn with some yard drains. And then we would be replacing the city's concrete sidewalk and tree lawn and curb along the roadway right there. So just kind of an improvement, along the front, because the concrete there is kind of really in quite bad shape. And I think just even hauling the earthwork and doing everything is going to require that work to be done. So ultimately, we'll just connect U-Haul's facility. They've been there for a long, long time, and they've in servicing that community have grown. And so having a safe place for those vehicles to park, off the street, and just to accommodate that immense growth, actually put forth the need to include this. And I think they've owned that property for quite a long time too. So I think that summarizes kind of the engineering and justification, kind of like our idea behind the reasoning for it and the design, kind of how the design fit came to be.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn does not seem to have his camera situation figured out at the moment, so I am going to move over to the planning department. Ms. Meehan, what would you like me to know about the planning department's position on this?
Yes, thank you for giving us this opportunity. So this request is for a use variance. So the use variance is to expand the existing U-Haul business, and the expansion of the business is being done by adding this parking lot that Ms. McConnell just discussed. So it is a request to basically expand their existing business. So in the current zoning, which is a T5NSS open, that is a different zoning district than what it was when this business was first established. So the U-Haul business has been here for many years, as seen on aerial views. At the time it was established, there was a different zoning district here that did permit the U-Haul business. So that zoning, I believe the business was established in 1996, if not earlier. Mr. Quinn could, I guess, confirm the date, but from what we can see, it has been there at least since that time. The zoning changed in 2004, and then it changed again in 2014 to the current form-based code. In this particular form-based code transect, it does not permit this type of a business. So like vehicle rental and equipment sales, personal indoor storage, those are not permitted uses any longer in this zoning district. So that is why they need a use variance to allow for the expansion of the business through the proposed parking lot. So the Walnut Hills reinvestment plan in 2016 also studied the neighborhood, and they came up with some items that they would like to see in the neighborhood. And they did specifically cite Gilbert Avenue as a dangerous place to walk on with fast traffic and blighted buildings. We feel that the expansion of the U-Haul business will generate additional traffic, which has already been cited as an issue per the neighborhood. And we do also feel that, so Windsor Street, where the parking lot would be located, is primarily a residential street. So there will be traffic exiting onto what is a residential street with single and multifamily dwellings currently. So that will add to the traffic along the street. So it's adding to the auto-oriented nature of the area. Another thing that was cited in the Walnut Hills plan is that this is not an area that is friendly to pedestrians, but that is one of the things that they noted they would like to see. This zoning district is also more of a pedestrian-oriented zoning district. It is not auto-oriented. So again, that has changed since the business was established, but the current zoning is more of a pedestrian-oriented, small to medium-sized homes, small to medium-sized businesses are some of the things that are desired in this particular zoning district. And as Ms. McConnell noted, the U-Haul business needs to expand. It's, has gotten larger over time, and now needs additional room to expand. But again, the auto-oriented nature of the business does not fit with the current zoning, nor does it fit with the desires of the Walnut Hills reinvestment plan. So we do not feel that this is a compatible use in the neighborhood. And it is, again, seems to run counter to what the interests of the zoning transect and the interests of the neighborhood are here in Walnut Hills.
I'll give you an opportunity, Ms. McConnell.
Okay, great. I just didn't know what, yeah.
No,
The
no
order.
hang.
Thank you.
Because I see that I am going to be going a little out of order because I see that Mr. Quinn now has video availability. Can you unmute yourself for me, Mr. Quinn?
I believe that's unmuted now. Is that good?
It is, but now the video's gone.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Okay,
All
sorry
right.
about that, guys.
That's all right. Let me swear you in because you weren't visible before. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Because we're going a little out of order, I'm going back to the applicant for the moment. Mr. Quinn, can you tell me, you said that you are representing U-Haul today?
I am.
Okay, what would you like me to know about this?
Well, this is something we've been trying to do for a while. We purchased the property, I believe in 2011, and then have been consistently, that location has been growing. And of course, we purchased the property across the street also, which was a storage facility. I can't think of the name of it at the top of my head now, but anyway, we've converted that property and added about 700 storage rooms to our existing facility by turning that into more storage. And with the growth of the location, the parking has gotten more and more needed in that area for our customers and our employees. The lot is pretty congested with the amount of business that we're doing. And with that, us owning that vacant lot, we decided we would try to develop it and turn it into a nicer parking lot, obviously, and do the upkeep, like you said, put a new sidewalk in. I know on the staff report it said that there wasn't anything on the site plan for trees, but I believe that site plan does show trees down that side next to the residential. I believe there's 13 trees planted there. The idea of planting 13 trees. And then it would just be a lot nicer lot. I believe we've done the upkeep on our own property for many years there to be, a productive part of Walnut Hills. And of course, with doing this, I think we'd be able to do more and more business. And with more business, we'd be able to hire on more employees. With more employees, we'd be paying more tax dollars. And then it continue to be a productive part of Walnut Hills and serving that community.
All right, thank you very much. I'll finish off the planning department's presentation. Anything from you, Ms. A House?
Yes, I would just add, the use variance is, sort of the heart of this application. Use variances have a very high standard of review. In this zoning district, there's at least 31 other uses permitted. The applicant has not demonstrated in their application materials that the property cannot be put to any economically viable use under any of the permitted uses in the zoning district. They haven't provided evidence that it's been actively marketed for sale, or, if there's anything unique about the property that prohibits it from being redeveloped as a permitted use. The lot is a vacant lot that is of similar or larger size to lots in the vicinity that have been developed. And this is really a condition created by the actions of the applicant. We understand, business growth is good, and needing, that's a good problem for the business to need to expand, but it's not consistent with the zoning code. And we do find the potential for adverse effects on adjacent property owners by the expansion of this business. I will note that, we have recommended denial based on our findings that it's not consistent with the standards of review. If the zoning hearing examiner considers approving the application, I would recommend the application notes, using this lot for both commercial and, customer vehicle parking. I would recommend that if the request is approved, that it be limited to customer parking, which would be more consistent with a standalone parking lot, which could be developed on the site rather than the parking of U-Haul trucks and commercial vehicles. But I think Kate's testimony and staff report really captures the city's recommendation.
Thank you. Again, moving back over to the applicant side, I did have Ms. McConnell's hand up.
Oh, I just had the comment about the fact that the lot is accommodating growth that has Mark, do you want to speak before me or? Yeah.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I could say something after you're finished.
Yes,
Okay.
you will.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's
Thank you.
accommodating growth that has already occurred, and the impact to the community that wants to park and use other amenities in the Walnut Hills area is being taken up by U-Haul users that are taking the street parking away from. So people that want to use amenities or park in the residential area in that area are parking farther and walking farther to get to the thing that they want to do, because there is no off-street parking for U-Haul. So there is there's an adverse impact to the users of the community by not having the off-street parking. U-Haul, even though it's not in the permitted uses now, like how it was rezoned, U-Haul's there and their expansion was approved also. So Mark can speak to this more, but my understanding is that they're not going anywhere. So the kind of like what's unfolded from a growth and safety perspective, and what Walnut Hills wants to do with the remainder of its community, it would be improved by pulling some of those users of the U-Haul facility off of the road. There's not a lot of street parking in that area. So pulling them off and allowing them to park in an area that's already, doing that business there would allow Walnut Hills street parking situation to open up a little bit, in one perspective. And then also having a U-Haul facility next to a park or any other, I know there's 31 other uses, but anything that would be inviting the public to be in that area, removing that retaining wall and lowering the grade, and then having pedestrians be in an area where U-Haul drivers are navigating a tight parking lot doesn't seem like the safest connection of two uses in my mind, right? I think if that were to be some kind of a case, even in a residential capacity, that there would need to be pretty big separation introduced, that, in order to keep anyone that would be on that property safe from, the U-Haul vehicles pulling in and out, or even just the personal vehicle drivers, because it's such a tight little narrow space that they're navigating over there. There's a lot of blind corners and stuff. So I wouldn't imagine that you would want a ton of pedestrians, you know, hanging out around on the Windsor side of things. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And I think Mark had his hand up. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Mr. Quinn? Oh, you're muted again.
I'll get this down one of these days. Apologies.
All right.
So yeah, I just wanted to, she kind of hit on a couple of the topics I was going to mention. I'm not sure of any adverse effects. I know they mentioned there's adverse effects to the neighbors. I think we have a really good relationship with all the neighbors in that area, the apartment complex behind us, the Wynn Nelson on the south side of us, and the neighbor that lives or I think it's an Airbnb that's right there next to that property also. When we started cutting the grass there, she was a little bit concerned because she could see that we were trying to upkeep it, but it was also affecting maybe her privacy for her clients that were going to be in the backyard. So we planted some more shrubbery there, and also I believe we repaired a fence that we didn't own to that neighbor, just so that they could keep their privacy, and we weren't using that lot. I think this retaining wall and the landscaping would create a great buffer between the residential lot, more than it is today, and our lot. And then as far as the lot, we'd be okay with making it customer parking only. I know that someone recommended that. I think we'd be good with that. I think that it was our original plan, and maybe it was someone made a mistake, probably myself or my supervisor put in there that it was going to be commercial use, but we're okay with that being customer parking only. And then our trucks will just stay where they're at. We're just looking for more space for the customers really than the trucks. And then as far as traffic coming in and out and traffic on the road, typically where there's a U-Haul, there's going to be less. I think for every 4 U-Hauls, it removes 1 personal vehicle off the road, because then the customers don't have to purchase their own pickup truck. They don't have to purchase their own truck to move things. They can rent it. And that's kind of where U-Haul's moved as far as calling it truck sharing versus truck renting. It's more of a community that can use that vehicle and not have to purchase their own pickup truck to have in their driveway. So we believe it actually removes and helps with traffic flow rather than adding more traffic. And, I piggyback on the idea of 31 uses. I think we could all go through those 31 uses and pick out probably 25 of them that are absolutely not going to work there on that lot, with the size, where it's located, those sort of things. And I understand, that those uses are in the zoning code for a reason, for people could do that, but we all know that some of those just aren't a good fit for that lot. And with us being there, you're right, we're not going anywhere. We've been in the community for a long, long time. I actually worked at that location for about 10 to 15 years as the manager of the location. I'm now basically a regional manager in the area. And I believe we've been a very good business in the Walnut Hills community for a long, long time. Have a great relationship with the fire and the police. in that area, and we want to continue to do that and continue to be able to grow. At some point, you reach a growing capacity. It makes it hard to continue to give raises to staff and hire on more people. And I understand it's not the city's problem, but every business at some point either needs to grow or some businesses go out of business, and then you have a vacant property sitting there, that's an eyesore to everybody. I believe the Wynn Nelson right next door has been sitting vacant for a long time. And somebody has to keep the grass cut, pick up the trash, all that sort of thing. And we try to make our property look really nice. We got new paint on all of our buildings. The security is upgraded. We have cameras everywhere. So if there is a crime committed in our area, we're able to provide video surveillance to the police, and help, eliminate that. So any help we could get from the city to try to get this to go through would be great. And, regardless if we get it or don't get it, we're going to still be there to serve that community and hopefully continue to be a big part of that. So I thank you for your time today, and I can answer any other questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the closing remarks portion. I'll start with the planning department. Anything in closing remarks, Ms. Meehan?
I would just like to reiterate that it's been mentioned that there could be 31 other uses for this property. There was a house here on this lot previously where they are proposing to do the parking lot. Certainly there is enough room to develop another house here. The previous home was torn down in 2008 per the city records. Certainly there are other uses that this piece of property could be put to that we feel are higher and better uses than a parking lot, which again is not permitted per the current zoning without a use variance. I would also like to note that it was mentioned that U-Haul did buy property across the street where they have additional indoor storage. And I would just note that that is a different zoning district than this one. In that zoning district, personal indoor storage is a permitted use, unlike the property that they are looking to expand on, where it is not a permitted use and requires a use variance. Again, I think it's the city's position that we feel there would be adverse effects from the expansion of this business, namely the traffic, but also noise, air pollution. I understand from the U-Haul site that this business is open 7 days a week. This kind of traffic and noise, et cetera, could be going on for 7 days a week. And with the increased potential for parking, there would be more cars going in and out, cars exiting onto Windsor. And again, these are items that are counter to what the Walnut Hills Reinvestment Plan has stated the neighborhood wants. They are looking to increase safety, increase walkability, and increasing an auto-oriented business in the neighborhood would be counter to what the stated goals of that plan are.
Thank you. All right, anything from you, Ms. Ahouse, in closing?
No, nothing to add.
Thank you. All right, moving over to the applicant side. Anything in closing from you, Mr. Bender?
Yeah, I just would like to point out is that, one of the items talked about was the safety and the speeding traffic on Madison Road there. I think that's Madison, Gilbert. This access would give customers now, especially the driving public, the ability to access the light at Windsor and Gilbert. So it does make that left turn onto Gilbert much safer.
Thank you. Ms. McConnell?
Just one comment that the construction of the stormwater detention and the parking lot, should the far future ever bring any, desire to do something different or change or take advantage of those 31, those other uses that are possible. The lowest impact thing that could be done to that site would be cleaning it up, regrading it, and adding stormwater detention. So I wouldn't see that, creating it as a parking lot would be a detriment to anything, like if there were a far future scenario to using it for something else down the road. So that's all I want to say on that.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Quinn, anything in closing?
Yeah, just the last couple things is, I guess my main concern is, that the property will sit vacant for a long period of time. We don't sell property. Our history pretty much shows that, once we purchase something, we'll hold on to it for a long time. We've been in business for 75 years, and we very, very, very rarely sell anything. So I think that it would continue to sit vacant for many years, and I think it would be a better use to see something on it with some landscaping and a prettier site to look at for the neighbors. Again, as far as the adverse effects, I don't see any adverse effects from it. I know they keep saying there's adverse effects. The pollution, the emissions, we go through the same emissions testing on our trucks as your car would go through. So there's no additional pollution to the air from our trucks. And again, the traffic and the safety of our customers and our employees going in and out of Gilbert is much safer going through Windsor than it would be pulling out onto Gilbert. As everyone knows, Gilbert, there's a lot of speeding going up and down Gilbert through there between those traffic lights. And if you could get over to Windsor to get out, it would be much safer for everybody. As far as the other uses for that property, I still, I know somebody mentioned putting a park there. I don't know that you'd want to park adjacent to Gilbert Avenue that close, or to our trucks and our customers coming in and out with large 26-foot down to 10-foot trucks. So again, the uses of that lot are limited. You see a decent number of vacant lots in that area, and I don't see too many houses being built on any of those. And again, we want to be in business there. We want to be a productive part of that society there. And I think we've proven that, we'll keep upkeep on the building. A lot of times you see some really rough looking properties, and there's really nothing the city can do about it besides, try to cite them or put a lien on the property. I don't think we've ever had any problems with that. And then as far as the noise concerns, I don't see a vehicle being any noise concerns. We have no diesel fuel trucks. They're all unleaded. The sound of those are about the same as your car. As far as hours of operation, the hours of operations won't change from what we're currently doing. And if there was a noise problem, I think some of the neighbors would have mentioned, hey, there's a noise problem at U-Haul, and we'd have something on record showing that we've been asked to keep the noise down. And I don't believe we have anything on our record with that. Again, I appreciate your time today. At this time, if it's okay, if I could get a little bit more time to look into some of the negatives that people are asking, I would like to table this or ask for a continuance to come back at a later date.
Okay. Anything from the perspective of the planning department about his request?
No concerns on our end.
All right, so that is fine by me. We can continue this out. What I'll do, it will be on a Wednesday, because all of these are on Wednesdays. What I'll do is I will have Cassandra Maines, who is the paralegal involved here, have her reach out to figure out a date, if that's all right with everybody.
That's fine with me.
All right. All right, well, we'll close this hearing for now. I've made a note that there is a continuance request and that will be granted. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much for
everybody's
your
time.
time.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Have a great day.
All right.